Was it we had mentioned?
Strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. Charles Darwin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's my pleasure and honor to welcome you all for today's evening's program. Darwin's quote is timeless and is apt in today's context. Human species is designed to constantly adapt and innovate. I think the power of innovation is what fuels new thoughts, products, and of course, entrepreneurship. Department of Science and Technology, Govt of India, they have a flagship program. One of the flagship program is DST Prayas. Prayas stands for promoting and accelerating young and aspiring technology entrepreneurs. Specifically, this program is to support young innovators to turn their ideas into POCs. The Prayasis are typically supported up to 10 lakh prototyping grant and have access to the Prayas lab to build a solution. DERBI Foundation is one such Nidhi Prayas center, and the objective of this center and the lab is to promote health tech focused startups. The vision of this lab is to integrate and knit multiple corporate technology companies and their offerings into a common platform so that startups and innovators are able to build robust products in shorter cycle times. While on one hand, the healthcare industry is exponentially growing, creating multiple opportunities for technology to play a very pivotal role. On the other hand, we are also witnessing that innovators and entrepreneurs building such healthcare solutions are constantly facing multitude of challenges. One of these challenges is high turnaround time from ideation to prototyping, and of course, the constant validation from the ecosystem. Hence, when we thought of that DERBI Prayas Shala, we thought it should be an endeavor to not only facilitate reduction in the cycle time, but also enable startups to get connected to the healthcare ecosystem, be it access to doctors, clinicians, and others, while they're constantly building the solution so that they're able to map the customer voice as they are building the solution. Mouser India is also supporting this initiative by establishing the Mouser Innovation Lab, wherein the innovators would not only get electronic kits and components, but also access to deep tech mentorship through Mouser's partners. This entire initiative, what we are doing witness today, has become a reality thanks to the support of NSTEDB, Govt of India, and Dr. Anita ma'am. I would say Dr. Gupta is the iron lady powering tech innovation and entrepreneurship in the country. Hearty welcome to you, ma'am. Dr. Aloknath is a man with a vision and a mission to transform the entrepreneurship landscape with technology as a prime driver. A distinguished technologist and a thought leader, he is catalyzing and unleashing the true potential of a connected world. I have great pleasure in welcoming you, Dr. Day. When we were toying with the idea of co-creating innovation with corporate partners, Mouser Electronics, a global player focused on serving the unique needs of design engineers, aligned with our thought, and the Mouser Innovation Lab was thus born. A warm welcome and a big thanks to Mr. Mark for making this happen, and of course to the highly energetic Shashwati and the Mouser India team as well. It's a known fact that any healthcare entrepreneurship journey is an uphill task, but it is gratifying, especially as it has a direct impact on human lives. Mr. Prakash, a serial entrepreneur in healthcare, is an inspiration to all of us and is our health tech entrepreneur in the spotlight for today's evening. Great pleasure in welcoming you today, Mr. Prakash. All of you here, I would say, are the extended family of DERBI Foundation. Senior experts from many corporate organizations, technology mentors and experts, ecosystem mentors, investors, innovators, startups, and few students also from our campus. A hearty welcome to you all. Somebody told that somebody had this very good quote which goes like this: coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. Look forward to working with all of you to empower our entrepreneurs to realize their dreams. Again, a hearty welcome to all of you to this virtual inauguration of DST Prayas Shala and Moser Innovation Lab. Over to you, Bhavani.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Anita Gupta is the head NEB DST, Govt of India, and is playing a pivotal role in shaping and scaling up tech startups across the country. Now, I would like to request Dr. Anita Gupta, head NEB DST, to kindly inaugurate the lab virtually and declare it open.
Thank you, Bhavani, and thank you, Dr. Lakshmi. Good evening to one and all. I recognize the presence of Mr. Mark Burr, Mr. Prakash Murthy, Mr. Tony Francis, and all the stakeholders of DERBI, the entire cohort of mentors, industry champions, mentors, startups, innovators, and all those who have been blessing DERBI in the years of its existence so far. So let me give a hearty welcome and greetings from the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. As you already may be aware of the functioning of DST as the primary lead Government of India body for funding of extramural research, which happens to be sector agnostic. We are not focusing on any sectors. Our canvas is wide and big enough to foster the STI sector across the country. The key difference between the functioning, I will just like to explain, is while DST gives funds for research to translate into new knowledge, where the body which I am representing and heading currently happens to be National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board. Here we take the knowledge derived from the research outputs. Again, we want to translate into wealth in terms of useful products and services. This has to be driven by our new age entrepreneurs, which we call startups, through the route of incubation. So NSTDB is in this domain for more than 2 decades now, proactively promoting as a pioneering body to foster technology business incubation across the country. But as you all already may be aware, the kind of ecosystem we had 2 decades back, and as we speak now, thanks to the Startup India and Stand Up India national initiative coined by our Honorable PM, since 2016, I think there's no looking back. DST has been joined with multiple of Government of India departments, the DPIIT, which is a nodal body for this initiative, Startup India initiative, and multiple state governments across the country, more in excess of 25 or so. All are collectively working to make the ecosystem much more enabling, conducive, and I must say, despite the kind of challenging times which we are in due to pandemic in 2020, in 2021 as well, India is grappling with one of the unprecedented global health crisis in the current wave of second wave of COVID. We have seen some of the crippling tale of guts, grit and glory steered by our startups, who really have shown us the way, get up and going. And they have really figured out the way to deal with the kind of challenges, translated into opportunities, solve multitude of problems, particularly in the domain of healthcare. And we have some of the very inspirational stories Lakshmi has already shared about. We really need to fast track the journey from ideation to a minimum viable product, to scaling up and bringing it to the market in the shortest span of time. And we have seen multiple stories to really talk about, and inspirational stories. Let me dwell a bit upon the kind of program which we also aligned with the Startup India, because when we took a stock of our programs and what are the market needs from the startup perspective, from the incubators perspective, and we really took a stock of the innovation to market value chain. And as you must be knowing, that the strength of any chain is determined by its weakest link, and we could figure out there were visible missing links in the entire value chain, and we systematically tried to address and bring programs to address that particular missing link. And one of the key link was the Prayas under this NEB program, which stands to be National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations. And Prayas was the one because there was no funding available from the Government of India side, wherein an ideator or innovator could translate idea into working prototype. And that's how we came out with this Prayas program. Prayas is a Hindi name of a sincere effort. So while Lakshmi has shared about the entire acronym, but it is an honest attempt, a sincere attempt, where government is backing your sincere effort, and we provide funding and all these programs which we coined out as a pre-incubation activity, both Prayas, EIR, our usual program flagship activity of technology business incubators, and the accelerator programs, and supporting Center for Excellences in identified domains, collectively have really made a dent in the innovation ecosystem, and many startups have got benefited out of this program. But the current crisis we are in, the uncertainty we are in, which has impacted one and all government, businesses, startups, and there actually we see the extraordinary situations demand extraordinary responses. And as a key stakeholder of the entire innovation ecosystem, and all those who are part of it, we have a huge and a collective responsibility as a part of the shared mission, shared responsibility to work collectively in the challenging times. And the focus and spotlight happens to be globally in the healthcare. Since last one, we all have mapped the overall ecosystem in the healthcare domain, and I'm happy to share that this Prayas Shala of DERBI is focused on the very felt need of healthcare, medtech. Apart from this, as a part of DST, we have created an exclusive mechanism in BTech, Biomedical Engineering Innovation Research and Innovation Center at IIT Bombay, which is primarily focusing on medtech devices and domain. And if you really see the market size of the medtech, it is in hundreds of billions of dollars. If you really filter it down and segregate it, be it in the IT, AI, ML, the digitization, or medical electronics side, there's a humongous opportunity, business opportunity for startups, innovators to be a part of this game-changing sector as we speak now, because this is going to be a key focus area. And startups are already working in this domain. I must say that, like, now having traversed the journey for about 2 decades, where DST is driving the research, invention to innovation value chain, we have come to the conclusion that we cannot really anticipate and fast track the entire process unless industry is totally integrated in our engagements, in our offerings, in our programs. And although we have a CSR initiatives where it is Government of India has really opened the funding through CSR into our incubators, but it has to really take roots in most of the incubators. And now when we talk of the healthcare domain, we have seen in last year, we rolled out a new program, Govt, only to spot and support startups who could be having solutions in the 4-5 identified thematic areas of COVID-19 crisis. And we could see some of the products which were rolled out in a span of 5-6 months, entirely like no-cock ventilator, which is where the startup could, a robotic startup pivoted it at the just in time. And it was the sheer power of collaboration, a strong team of mentors, industry champions, alumni network of IIT Kanpur, who could really propel this journey and compress it to within a month. Otherwise, it could have taken it at least 2-3 years to see the light of the day. So that's how, once we have these kind of success stories, why not we can have many more startups who could be joined by right sort of industry, and right from the drawing board stage. see, all these solutions which has to be validated and to be used by the medical practitioners, clinicians, they have to be on board when such kind of a design is conceived and till it is validated. So it is really paramount to have industry as a part of our entire offerings and engage the right set of mentors, technical, industry, market, giving the right set of market insights, getting it validated with their pilot kind of trials have to be done. So it has to be tested alongside the domains where industry could be on board. And I'm happy to note that DERBI, through its efforts, its network, have been able to forge that kind of alliances, which is the need of the hour. And particularly in this domain, which is a really a complex place to be in. But at the same time, it is so gratifying. You are solving the problem which India needs through your ingenuity, through your support network, and government is there to provide the critical piece of funding at early stages where no one actually pitches in or chips in for lending support. But after that, to be a real market success, we need support of good army of mentors, army of industry champions, and to curate them to a level that they generate enough credibility and confidence for the product they are bringing into the market. So there's a room for everyone to have a say and to contribute. And with that kind of mission, we are all working together. We are shortly be rolling out a new program to spot startups who are under incubation across the country, Nidhi for COVID 2.0. And we'll be looking forward startups who are in this domain to be a part of this initiative. It will be driven by a set of incubators. So that will be next in the offering, probably early next week. We'll be announcing. And we truly believe in the power of collaboration and truly believe in the power of innovation. And our startups who are a new force to reckon with in the pandemic times, and startup stories have to be now not only confined to India, they have to churn out global stories. So that kind of quality, that kind of engagement, and that kind of professionalism we want to look in our startups, and so in the case of incubators as well. So just to conclude, I'm really thankful for all those who have joined for today's event. We are really truly honored through these kind of incubators and these kind of activities like Prayas. Our endeavor is to really empower our innovators, young brigade of innovators and startups who are spread out all over the country. And finally, as a protocol, as a requirement, I inaugurate and declare the DST Prayas Shala or Prayas Lab open. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for formally inaugurating the lab and enabling us to support more Prayasis in the years to come. And ma'am, thank you so much for your insightful talk. It is indeed heartening to know the various initiatives that the government is driving to support and scale up the startup ecosystem.
Hi, good evening to you all. So thanks, Anita. That was a very interesting inauguration speech, and very nice to meet you. So thank you very much for that. I wish this was live. I mean, the COVID, I guess, is driving us all insane, and I suppose at the minute in India it's really bad. But these are always nice things to do live. But doing this online, at least we get things moving, which is probably more important right now. So it's a great pleasure not only to be involved in the inauguration today, but actually more importantly in this whole project, because if we think about it, successful startups really need a number of things. Entrepreneurship, and that's what we're going to get from this program. Vision, that's what we're going to get from this program. Funding, which we've spoken about already. And from the Mauser standpoint, it's technology, which is why we want to be involved in this program. It's such an important thing, and what I'll cover in the next 15 minutes is really just to show you how Mauser is involved in the technology side of the business to really lead the world on electronic components, but more so in bringing that new technology to market, and really to help startups, to help engineers to design with the latest products. So what we term it really is we're here to fuel the tidal wave of innovation. I think it's really what we aim to do. And you know, whether it's you know, medical startups in India or a tidal wave of innovation in any other startups around the world, that's what really drives what Mouser is actually all about. So for us, it's about helping engineers with new designs, and we've been pretty successful over the last few years in doing that. I joined Mouser myself back in 2008 when we were a small to medium-sized distributor in the US, around about $200 million. We took that to a $2 billion operation last year. This year, with the marketplace as it is, it looks like we're going to be around about a $3 billion operation. And that's all shipping small numbers of components and high technology components. So, and I'll talk through our strategy in terms of how we fit, and it makes it more exciting when you hear it from that standpoint. We got a lot of links into India. We've grown a company there now to over 500 people in Bangalore. So we're down there on the MG Road, and we have a lot of our global services in Bangalore now, whether it's to do some back-end ordering, to do web, to do marketing, to do HR and IT. So we got a heavy focus now and a footprint which continues to grow in Bangalore, and we will look to grow that over the next few years as well. So what I'd like to do is just to share really where Mouser is and what we're doing, but really we're so pleased to be involved in this project, and it really is due down to the technology. So let me just move through here. Hopefully I don't get in the way down the bottom right-hand corner there. So this is our headquarter building in Texas. We ship everything from this building. It's around about 1 million square feet. But at the back of the building, you can see some more green grass. And even though we've only just finished the recent expansion we had, we're now looking to expand even further. So our warehouse base will continue to expand, which means more components and more new technology to be shipped around the world. We ship to India. It takes about 4 days door to door. So if an order's placed today, it'll be 4 days to anywhere in India, and it's a pretty slick service. And mainly we're using DHL into the marketplace in India. So for our global distribution center, just to put it in perspective, in terms of number of orders we ship a day, in terms of the average lines picked per day, it's around about 65,000 lines we typically ship every day. At the minute, with the market being so strong, we're shipping around about 80 to 85,000 a day. But if you look in the middle of this slide, you can see these vertical lift modules. And this is the largest installation in North America. It really helps us get more efficient with regards to our warehousing. We put 55 of these in already. We're currently putting another 50 in. So already at 55, it's the largest installation in North America, which of course, when we double that, it's going to continue to be the largest by quite a long way. But what you can see here is it's a very mechanized warehouse, and anyone who's ever in the Texas area, everyone's always welcome to come and see us. Of course, COVID times make it difficult right now, but anytime in the future that anyone on this call is in Texas, please come see us. We're in the Dallas area. And you can see on the bottom right-hand corner here is we also ship with all the main shippers, be it DHL, UPS, and FedEx. And the guy there in the purple shirt is a FedEx employee. They actually work in our warehouse, and they put the components in boxes and put them straight onto the containers, which do go on the aircraft. So we have a very slick system. Internally, if somebody places an order, from the time someone presses the button to place an order, it takes 15 minutes from the time someone's placed that order to the time it actually gets to the shipping. So it's a slick system, and we're proud of what we do to get the market to the products. But let me explain a little bit about where we fit and why this is so exciting for us. Is that if you look at where a lot of distributors fit, and so if you take your eyes over to the blue part, which says manufacturing at the top, and you go down to where it says high volume fulfillment, and then look underneath that where Mouser is not. So most distributors in the world and lots of suppliers typically focus on one area, and that's high volume fulfillment. They want the big orders. They want to make sure that the manufacturing continues to run. That's not Mauser. So we focus very much to the left-hand side of this, starting very much and thinking about what the customer is actually doing. So it's all about technology discovery, technology selection from a customer standpoint. And our role in life is to offer that design guidance, design identification, and really help the engineers. So moving down to the bottom, who we're engaged with, the types of people we're typically engaged with. It's not the supply chain and procurement people. It's the R&D engineer, it's the student, it's the creator, it's the maker, it's the design engineer. So really, what we're doing here with this program fits very much into what we're doing globally and where we see ourselves fit. So it's just to put it in perspective for you. The world's changed, of course, in the last few years in terms of how we go to market, and we're a leader in the internet side of the business for our industry. And just a few little things here of interest to you. So we have 63 regional websites, all the languages and currencies that we can do, and we continue to add those as we need to do it. But it's interesting when you think about the website now. We get 74% of all our lines are ordered on the website, and 88% of all the accounts now do buy online. So the industry has certainly changed. And from a global perspective, if you look at the bar charts now and the pie chart, it's around about a third, and a third of where the visits are onto the website, which sort of, that's the design activity, and it's a real good leading indicator in terms of which way that the business is going to be moving. It's more, the website's more than that though, and I'll touch on that later when I talk a little bit about some of the marketing things we do and really the content that we do, because that's so important to what people need from us, rather than just the components, it's the information too. But let me take your eyes down to the bottom left-hand corner. So, and why we're engaged with a lot of key manufacturers. So we have around about 1,150 leading brands, whether it's TI or ADI on semiconductors, or TE and Molex on connectors, or whether it's Murata and Vishay on passives. We have all the big lines, along with thousands of others as well. But the reason that we have these relationships is due to the fact that we help get the products to market. We help the manufacturers design in the parts and get their latest technology out. So if you see there, page views are about 1.7 million page views per day, and around about 232,000 visitors a day. So there's lots of eyes on the components that we have on the website. Now, when it comes to distribution, a lot of it comes down to risk. And if you're a small local distributor, it's hard to take a risk on inventory. It's hard to put in all the components which are needed. That risk is a lot easier for us to take. With one global warehouse, it's easier to put it in one place. And with a lot of customers globally, it's much easier to put in components on every commodity and every manufacturer to the level which you need to do that. So you can see here that from a global standpoint, we have close to 800,000 customers, and fortunately we remain very successful, and we add about over 1,000 new customers every day, which really is due to the fact of the offering which we have, and people find the interest in the components we have, which continue just to grow. So you can see there why, for instance, a connector manufacturer may be interested in coming to Mauser to sell more parts, to promote more parts, to bring new products to market through. Because if you look at the IP&E, for instance, on the interconnect, we have over 300,000 customers worldwide. So that's an immediate market for them that we can get to pretty quickly. But the one thing that drives it all is inventory, and this is really key. In the last 5 years, as I say, as we've continued to grow, a big investment we've made is in inventory. So we've added about $436 million of inventory in the last 5 years, and that really does drive the success which we've had. And more importantly, we've widened the number of parts which we stock, and it's now over a million SKUs. But in the last 5 years, we've increased that by close to 400,000 SKUs. So go to the right-hand side and you can see here, yes, the bar's gone up and it looks like it's potentially gone down this year. Not so. What's happened this year is, of course, with the market very much in a long lead time, shortage, allocation market, whatever we want to call it. But from that standpoint is obviously we're seeing a lot of inventory going out the door, but it is becoming harder to replenish that. So even though we have around about $850 million of product on the shelf, of which we ship one component to anybody, which makes us an interesting proposition for engineers, of course. But we have over 660 million on order with our manufacturing partners. So as those begin to come in, the bar on the right will continue to go up dramatically over last year. But we've got so much on order because of the market. Let's wait to see what happens. But really, thinking about how the market's running this year, looks like the whole of 2021, it's going to be a tough market condition for getting components. And as we move into 2022, it's still probably going to be pretty tough next year as well. So we're here to help. I say we have 850 million on the shelf, and hopefully we can help many of you out there, and especially for this innovation lab. We compare ourselves to a couple of people. As I said, you know, we're not into the volume side, so we compare ourselves to our other high service competition. And this is really the strength, as I noted earlier, as to where Mouser fits. It's all about broad inventory. It's all about having the most lines possible for a TI, for an ADI, for a Molex. And if we look at it, we do that. So we have the widest range of parts in stock. And that's much more important than the depth of inventory. So if an engineer is looking for parts, he's typically not looking for millions of parts. It tends to be 1, 2, 5, and 10. And it's more interesting for them to have high technology parts and to have a range of parts which you can design into new projects. And hence the fact we focus on this breadth of inventory. And we do a pretty good job on that, as you can see. So then the new product introductions, again, this is the heartblood of really what we look to do to bring to market. And when we talk about new product introductions, it's a rolling 48 months since the release to market. So that's how we define an MPI part. But what you can see here is, and I take the eye to the semiconductor line, so semis, embedded, and sensors, for instance. The percentage of our inventory on that is close to a quarter of our inventory. So 24% of all our inventory is in new products. So that's new technology. That's when something new comes out from one of our key manufacturers, we ensure that we stock that. And it's a big drive of our business. And that's not only on the semis where you'd expect it, but you can see also on things like electromechanical and passives and circuit protection is still at 17%. So the focus is there on every product area to have the new products. It's just that the semiconductor area brings out more new products because it really is helping lead the technology and the designs of the future. So what I said earlier was about content, because it's not all about just having the components. It's really about having the right content to help engineers, to help startups, to help anybody really to make sure they have the right parts. So we have over 705,000 subscribers to information which we send out. Please, anybody sign up for that information. We're happy to add you to the list. And this is all about new product introductions to make sure you hear about that. It's about application guidance and anything really that's new which is coming out. So just think of us as a content provider. Really, in many cases, we think of ourselves as a marketing company first and foremost in the electronics business. We're there to help market the components of our supplier partners. By default, we're a distributor because we ship the parts, but really being a marketing company on technology is the key thing that Mouser does. So when people get into the site, there's lots of things that can be used once on there, things like block diagram navigation to make it very easy, a lot of featured products, technical resources in just about every area, and a huge amount of articles and blogs and technology and industry trends. So we try to keep the engineers really up to date and also have systems whereby if people are looking at buying some parts and see that there's a part which is going obsolete, of course, we tell you it's going obsolete and we give you the new parts which really should be designed in to make it a more successful future for the new technology. But the key thing really for us is rapid new product introduction. So what we do is we do this quicker than anyone else. It's a huge drive in our business to make sure that we do that. A lot of that comes down, as I said to earlier, about investing in the inventory, shipping small quantities. Not every distributor, not every supplier wants to ship you, a quantity of one piece. Many like to do, boxes of 1,000 or reels of 5,000. We'll sell one. So for that engineering project which people have, for that startup who's looking not to invest in a huge warehouse of inventory, we're there to help to do that. So our launch team on MPI works on a lot of aspects of what we do, but really the whole goal of that is to bring the newest products to market as quickly as we can. And then in the last 5 years, things have changed a lot, and social marketing has really become the connecting tool for a number of things. And certainly the India market is very high on social marketing, and being involved in this area, and it's big for us. We have a lot of programs in place, and we continue to add new programs. And as you can see here, it's pretty successful in terms of the activity and the numbers of people who are doing that, and we only see that continuing to grow. So why be involved in this program? Hopefully, almost by definition of what I've been saying, you can see why it fits for us. It fits for us due to the fact that we're involved in technology. It fits for us because we're there to bring our manufacturers' latest technologies to market. And certainly from the standpoint, from the information we have, is the medical device market in India should reach 50 billion by 2025. There's a big focus on it, and it's great to see the government investing in plans over the next 5 years. And we just want to be part of that. It's technology, it's what Mauser does, and we're very keen to be involved in anything which does that. So really, from our standpoint, creating this ecosystem for startups. We will provide equipment, components, and kits for the innovation lab and technical mentoring to the members, as was said earlier as well. But if we look at some of the words down here, I just highlighted them in red for you. But entrepreneurs, startups, they're all the things which we're really keen in. Innovation. That's what brings it together for us. That's really the important things for us. And the good thing is, on the right-hand box at the bottom there, it's also going to create jobs. So it's not only going to help grow the lab, it's going to help jobs as well as help the industry overall in India in this really important sector. So we're proud to be part of it, and thanks to the team there to involve us in this, and we're really glad to be part of it. So we will provide, as I said, equipment, components, and kits, and we categorize it in a couple of areas. So really, sensor measurements, electronic product development, analytical instruments, medical device development, and evaluation development kits. So anything in those areas, anything on components, anything on technology, we want to make sure that we're involved in that. And our local team in Bangalore is there ready to help. And thanks, Sashwati, for sorting this out for me to appear here today. And certainly the website hopefully is going to really help people as well, because it really does offer what the engineers actually need. So from our standpoint, as a key takeaway, we're the leading distributor globally for new product introduction focused on design, engineering, and R&D. So it fits beautifully with this program. Really want to help the health and tech startup industry in India, and proud to be part of that. And India is just primed for so much growth. Interestingly, I spent some of my life growing up in India. I lived in Mumbai with my parents and spent a few years there. Loved India. Being English, I love cricket. Of course, the team I like to win may be different from many people on this call, but so certainly have an affiliation with India and fully support it. So thanks very much for inviting me, and really pleased, and hope that's some interesting information for you about Mauser as to why we're involved in the program, and I wish it all the success. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. Thank you for your gracious address and talking about the partnerships. Also extending your support to DERBI Foundation Lab. Happy to collaborate with Mauser and looking forward to working together. I would like to share a few words about Mr. Mark. Mr. Mark is the Senior Vice President of Global Service, EMEA, and Asia Pacific Business. He guides and leads Mauser Electronics global service strategy as well as day-to-day international efforts. Today, with the help of his vision, Mauser has 27 customer service centers strategically positioned around the globe, providing local language, currency, and same time zone support. He brings a wealth of global electronics distribution experience totaling over 35 years. Thank you so much, Mr. Mark.
Thank
Now
you.
let's have a deeper insight into the lab with a video. Mr. Dipin, please play the video. Mr. Mark, we have a question for you. So we shall take up the questions in the end.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, I'm very grateful and honored to introduce Dr. Aloknath, the chief guest for today's program, a distinguished technologist, thought leader, and a missionpreneur who firmly believes in fostering and evangelizing impactful innovation. Dr. Day is the Senior Vice President, CTO at Samsung India. He has over 30 years of corporate R&D experience and has been incessantly exciting core technologies built a better connected world with enriched human mission interaction. He also has 25 plus patents granted, filed, and 50 plus publications. Sir, I invite you to give your chief guest address.
Thank you. Good evening all, and good morning, Mark. I guess for you it's a morning, and greetings to all. Dr. Lakshmi, thanks for taking such a nice initiative through the DERBI Foundation and also inviting me to be part of this program. Dr. Anita has very nicely explained the DST's effort, the Prayas, and inaugurating this particular innovation initiative. I've been personally involved in many DST SERB programs, so every small effort of 10 lakhs to 25 lakhs, it matters. And they are the seed basis through which people could grow the tree over time. And I think, Mark, fantastic if you have joined force and with all these electronic equipments, and as you explained, it is a difficult time getting this supply chain is not going to be easy in 2021, 2022. And I think your support would be very helpful for realizing in this particular lab. I'm not going to talk about Samsung. We are here for the healthcare initiatives and everything, but just 30 seconds, because we are going through this 25th year finishing and 26th year, 1996, we started Samsung journey in India. And we have two great R&D center, one based out of Delhi, Noida area, and one in Bangalore. I'm based out of Bangalore. And we have two R&D centers, but also two manufacturing units, one in Chennai, white goods we are making, and one in Dadri, where we have our TV as well as mobile factory, which is world's largest factory for Samsung in the mobile. And our sales, marketing, corporate communications, the regional headquarters for Southwest Asia is in Gurgaon. So with that 25 years journey, many things we have seen in the organization, how we commercialize product. That is, any MNC that starts in India, they start like that. But over time, I have been there for last 10 years, and we have brought in a lot of innovation components. And we decided to do more of research to commercializations. It's not just the middle part of the development. We excite all of our engineers to look into one extra things alongside development. Either you do research taking to development, or if you are into the software competency, grow into that, into a bigger framework of Internet of Things or security framework, or you learn the last mile from development to the market and productization angle. So with that context, when I look into this whole ecosystem, and in India, all the initiatives, entrepreneurship journey, you got the funding and the startups, you bring your ideas, and DERBI Foundation, this accelerator program, they anchor it, and then you get all the boards partners like Mark is going to provide. But how do you then make it successful? There are a few more steps that you go through. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of them in the healthcare context. First of all, this ideation incubation is a very divergent process. You should open your mind and build many more ideas. At that point, you don't need to constrain. You should open up. You should listen to all, get thousands of ideas. But on the other hand, when you go into productization, it is very focused. It's a convergence process. And between this divergence to convergence, somewhere people get lost. And those who get it right, they make unicorns, they make unicorns, and they are successful in some way. So there is no written equation how you get there. It's an art as well as science. But this is where that funneling exercise happens from this. And this is where the discipline comes, that as you build, you have to taper it off, and you have to reduce, you have to find what's unique in your proposition, and how do we capitalize or capture that intellectual property. The IP is becoming very, very vital. In India, Dr. Manmohan Singh's time, he initiated 2010 to 20 itself as a decade of innovation. And I think with that journey, a lot of startups, entrepreneurs have come. Now, in the first phase, the companies that have been very successful have focused on hyper-local. If you look into Oyo and Ola and all of them, Flipkart, marketplaces, connecting them, hyper-local, that have brought a good success story. As we move forward in this decade, it will be much more IP-led. It will be much more deeper tech. I don't mean to say that the olders are not going to be there, but you get an additional fang of it, which was not there in the first leg of it, but in the second leg. So as we do this journey, currently we're going through this crisis, and we do jugaad, we do, all the efforts, best efforts in everybody's putting. but that's in a crisis time. You don't have other choices. But would we like to be as a country to go through this every time such things happen? Maybe not. And if it is not, then there is a systematic process, and we have all an R&R with us. The doctors, the nurses, the COVID warrior, they know how to put the oxygen concentrators to cylinders, when to give the steroids, when to take it to ICU, ventilators. That's their job. They are dealing with now, not even today, now. There is state government who are into this bed management, robust system, ambulances, COVID care center. It's about today. They don't have tomorrow. They have to manage today in this crisis. Whereas central government is playing a big role in terms of the research, approving new vaccinations, in terms of the allocations, in terms of the virus as it getting mutated, how it will be unfolding, the relationship nationally, internationally. I think there is a big job for tomorrow, because once this thing we are dealing with lockdown situations, but vaccinations become vital. What do we do as engineers and entrepreneurs beyond, the fighting today's, the normal crisis moment? If doctors are looking into their lives, engineers have the responsibility of the livelihoods. We are working very hard to make sure, the employment stays, the deliveries get on time, even though we have pain in our heart at times in families and others. Many of the deliveries from corporates, they are making sure that they goes globally because many other, obligations are there. And the entrepreneurs, again, coming to that point, you have an opportunity to serve, but at the same time, understand from this crisis, what are the problem areas? Many a times when things go great, we don't pick up the right problem statements. We don't get them. We want to pick up, but we don't know them. Many people I see startups, some small things, trivial problem statements that they are trying to solve, some emoji without, hurting anybody, they're doing business. But we have tons of problems that are very important to us as a nation, and as a community. So when you look into this technology, I work with Korea very deeply and very beautifully, this low dead space syringe. It's a fantastic innovation. If you can give the same vaccine to 5 people with that syringe, the left out, Japan, Korea have done, you can actually give it to 6 people, because the wastage is less. So it can be very different angle. It's not the fundamental vaccines, but the delivery and effectiveness of that. And we see that, our intellectual property, how AstraZeneca, Oxford, our Covishield vaccines have come, Bharat Biotech has given. So there is a lot of intellectual property, and there is a lot of innovations that are going around. So coming to this, COVID is one, but normal time, even taking that, in our world of Samsung, we are looking into very many different things of sensors. These devices, smaller portable medical devices, we have smartphones, we have wearables, and it's not just about when something happens, we have to deal with it. We should talk about fitness, and whether it is a pedometer that is there, that helps people to stay healthy, right? We have put some small light sensors, UV sensors, that you can measure the skin tone, and you can recommend many things. If it's the UV rays are higher, then you can stop them, or you can give some lotions applications, how to do that. We have used the smartphone for blood pressure measurements. This is already a solution with our smartphones and wearables. It's simple PPG sensors, and the wearables are in the touching the body. Even people are talking about non-invasive ECGs and other solutions. And recently we did one interesting work, and we are working with Arvind Eye Care in India. We talked about it with Narayan Nethralaya and many others organizations in October, World Sight Day. We built a solution with an ophthalmoscope as well as a smartphone and you can detect the blindness much earlier. And 280 million people, it has been estimated that you could actually, if you can detect early, you can prevent the blindness. So with these solutions, now we have taken it with International Agency for Prevention of Blindness, and India, Vietnam, Morocco, Papua New Guinea, a couple of countries that we have done it. And similar to that, simple things like oximeter, the infrared thermometer, there are a lot of opportunities that are in hand. So I again encourage the entrepreneurs here, those who would be building these ideas. Why I'm giving these examples, it's just something that we have done, but this space is huge and we need you. Thousands of startups could be there in 1 year just on health tech, but we have to pick the right problems and go deeper into it. You know, whether it is sensors, whether it is health device, portable devices, people could make instead of a big ultrasound system, can you make a portable ultrasound that can scan a pregnant mother? Whether it is health algorithm where AI is coming and actually it can detect a lot of things, whether it is simple things to the what I talked about, prevention of blindness, where I apply the AI algorithm to even cancer predictions and things like that. Whether it is connected health systems, whereby doctors, nurses, there are companies like Practo, Librate, who are connecting these ecosystems so that it becomes easy for people to enroll and go there. Or it's a supplementary services like oxygen distributions, some kind of amulets, or it's a health and medical insurance, or it's in data management, where India is building an India health stack, like our Aadhaar stack, like our UPI stack. This is almost at the final stages. And we could use that to build a great solutions for our healthcare solutions. So it doesn't matter what you choose, what's your orientations. My invitations would be choose a bigger problem, an area, filter it out, form a right team, prototype it. And as you do it, involve some of the people from the ecosystems who understand it, get them reviewed. Early review is always helpful, who will direct you. Don't defend your idea too much. Listen to others, what they have to say. But again, if you have passion, finally you are the judge. But listening is very, very vital because people have experience and the market conditions, the size, what works, what doesn't work, where there are many companies working. This is something we should be knowing. Whether you do for young people or you do for middle-aged or for the fit people to stay fit or for the ailing people or for the elderly care, choice is yours. Pick up one thing, do well, and I wish you all the best for your journey. Use this facility nicely and grow your solution. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm sure your talk has given a lot of insights to all of us. We really thank you very much for taking time off to be our chief guest today. Thank you, sir. Now, I invite Mr. Tony Francis, who is our mentor in residence at DERBI Foundation, to brief the August gathering about the theme and overview of the lab. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good evening and thanks for this opportunity. So till last year, I was on the other side. I was in the corporate world, right? And dreams drive entrepreneurs. Right? The only way you can realize a dream is to wake up. That's the only way that you can realize a dream. And if you wake up and if you are in the health tech place, you need access to something much more bigger than the typical software startups of the world with the Dr. they just mentioned. So in the corporate world, the biggest issue that we used to face is the procedures, right? Why a startup is there is that to challenge a big corporate, a typical development time that takes around say 4 to 5 years should be done by a startup within 2 years. If a corporate has to go to a lab to take some measurements, there are so many procedures involved, right? You need to get a purchase order, the purchase team needs to evaluate at least 5 vendors, right? It's a procedure there. And with a startup, all you need to do is find an incubator who is conducive, open up your purse, take up that 5,000 or 1,000 rupees, say that I want this lab to be used for a whole day, do the measurements, go back and do your innovations at your home. Right? So this is the change that we would like to see with this different set of incubators coming into play, and different set of startups collaborating with those incubators to make wonderful startups in India. So I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Anita Gupta for facilitating this lab, and also Mark for funding us this Mauser Innovation Lab. When we started this lab, when we were contemplating of the theme for the lab, we looked at what is there around in Bangalore. There is Bangalore Bio Innovation Center, there is CCAM, there is IKP, then there is IIIC. Right? A lot of investments made in terms of reference instruments. You name an HPLC, you name a gas chromatography, you name an NMR, all of them are there. These are extremely big investments, right? And what is the need of the hour today? It's a pulse oximeter. Right? The pulse oximeter can be realized, but how many companies in India today make pulse oximeters, right? So what we wanted to enable is a kind of routine instruments, which refers to those reference instruments invested in the ISEs and CCAMs of the world, which is fairly easily accessible, and make an innovations which solves a problem today. So as a theme, what we have picked is an optics lab. We have created a state-of-art optics lab with spectrometers, with prototyping instruments, the rich set of optical components. This is the signature of the lab that we have identified. Once you have identified your problem and you have taken some of your measurements, then you need comparison instruments. We have created a bunch of, we have procured a bunch of patient simulators, whether it is a pulse oximeter simulator or an EEG simulator or a BP simulators, we have it in our lab. Once you have validated your concept, then you want to move into your electronic and mechanical development. We have all the electronic facility as well as the mechanical facilities that you just saw in the video. And all it is needed for is you to come and innovate in our labs. So who are the current will be the first beneficiaries? We just closed our first cohort of DST Prayas. We have 11 brilliant innovators working on all sorts of fields, right from cervical cancer to carbon dioxide detection to smart footwear for diabetic retinopathy. We have smart 3D oral cameras. All of you talk about any space in medical, and we have those innovators out there. In a short while, you will have a peek on the type of innovators working on these innovators. And I'm sure that this lab will definitely be helpful for them to make this their ideas convert into a prototype. So the way we have proceeded is, the typical issue with technology companies is that they focus on too much of technology and miss the big picture. So what we did was 2 months, we did something called a customer discovery program. We made them sit and listen to a lot of experts, gave them assignments and said that go and speak to your prospective customers first, come back and validate your hypothesis, and then get into a customer discovery program, customer validation program, where you create a prototype and go back to the same set of people and then validate your prototype against the need. This is the stage that we are in. The biggest apprehension for every deep tech entrepreneur, including me, is about the deep tech and whether the deep tech will really succeed or not. And we do have the speaker who has the next, who has raised $110 million+ in VC investment and developing molecular sensors which can detect a lot more. With this, without much ado, I invite you to see a video of our innovators who are developing the next set of innovations for India. Thanks, and over to you, Bhavan.
Thank you, sir. Now we have a short video which talks about DST Prayas' journey and the ideas of Prayas. Here's a video for you. Tech entrepreneurship is a less trodden path and a long journey which very few startups sustain and scale up. ATONARP is one such rare success story of an entrepreneur. ATONARP is a molecular diagnostic company and has recently raised an oversubscribed Series C rounding of funding. Nothing like hearing from the man himself. Yes, today we have Mr. Prakash Murthy, CEO and co-founder of ATONARP Inc. to take us through his journey. Mr. Prakash has been co-founding companies in Bangalore and Japan since 1998. He has also been granted 19 patents for his innovative accomplishments. I would like to invite Mr. Prakash, who is a health tech entrepreneur in the spotlight, to deliver his address. Mr. Prakash Murthy, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening. Thank you for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity. When I spoke to Dr. Lakshmi a few weeks ago, when she mentioned about, DST Prayas Lab and the DERBI initiative, the first thing that struck me was, myself, when I started the company with very little capital running around, for access for a lab, access for, capital, and also mentorship. So I think this is a fantastic program, and I'm based in Tokyo, Japan. And I was really surprised. I've been part of Government of India or the Indian Embassy initiatives here in Tokyo, where every few weeks, they bring some of the amazing startups based out of India, and they introduce them to the ecosystem in Japan and so on. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity. And I run a small company. We are a deep tech startup based out of Tokyo. We have a significant operations in India and as well as in the United States. So what I thought doing here was, share, the best thing I thought was, both Mark, Dr. Aloknath, as well as, Tony mentioned that one of the things to be successful in a deep tech startup is, it's the speed and agility. So that is the biggest difference when you compare to either Samsung or Apple or any other companies who have all the resources, they have the talent, they have access to the market, and they have all the tools to be successful. So the second part is, to be pick the right problem, and the problem has to be such that you can make a big impact. And some of the examples I think Dr. Aloknath gave earlier was, if you look at the last 15, 20 years in the industry, especially in India, so we have a lot of great startups, who have demonstrated that we can build a world-class product, world-class company in India. So that needs to mature. That needs to now, go to the next step where we build products in India for the world. So that is the opportunity I think we have in front of us. That is what is all about the deep tech, and I think India is positioned very well in order to lead that effort. So I have a couple of slides. I think just want to go through. Maybe let me see if I can share here. So I'll talk about a little bit about the ATONARP journey. So I guess that will help you understand the speed and the agility part of it, and also picking the right problem where you can make a large impact. So ATONARP is a molecular diagnostics company. So we are leading the digital transformation of the molecular diagnostics. The company is headquartered in Tokyo. We have an office in United States, and also we have an office in India. So we have filed about 115 patents, and about 65 of them are granted. And the company, the technology that we develop as part of the deep tech. So one of the things that you will notice is, so it is kind of culmination of your hardware, software, biotechnology, photonics, and it spans across multiple disciplines. And you need to bring the experts, you need to bring the best talent in order to lead in this space. So it has been initially it has been a very challenging journey, but we have made phenomenal progress in the last couple of years. As you can see, we have some of the top investors from all over the world. The company has raised $111 million, and we have some of the big names, the SoftBank Investments, Walden Riverwood Capital, and we have some of the big, large insurance companies, as well as the electronic semiconductor companies as well. So in terms of technology, so the molecular diagnostics, we are leading in the two areas. So one of them is in the industrial, and the other vertical that we have chosen is in the healthcare space. So within the industrial segment, we help customers in the pharma segment, in the semiconductor space, especially if you think of these vaccines and the drugs. So when you manufacture them, the reason you store them at -70 or -25 is because they have not yet defined a process to convert this vaccine, which is in a liquid form, to a solid form. So once you convert them into a solid form, you can store them, you can transport them freely across the world, but that is a very complex process. So these vaccines are bio-vaccines, as you have seen. These are microRNAs. They have very specific structure that needs to be maintained. And our technology allows pharma companies to basically transform these the vaccines or the biological drugs or the cell-based therapeutics, the cell-based drugs into the lyophilization form. And in semiconductor, we allow customers. Samsung is one of our largest customer. They manufacture semiconductors at 7 nanometer, 5 nanometer. At that scale, the processing becomes molecular scale or atomic scale processing, where you are building the transistors literally using about 20 atoms. So we allow them to look at this process. We allow them to monitor this, provide real-time information. So the other part is in the medical space. We are working on the cell biology and the medical diagnostics. So all put together, it's a $100 billion market size, or the opportunity for us. And in terms of technology, what we do is truly revolutionary. So if you think of the molecular diagnostics today, about 99% of the diagnostics is done based on chemistry. And you take the sample, you have to process it, you have to go through about 15, 20 steps, and then you isolate and you get the results. The technology is very low tech, but the critical technology piece is in the chemistry. And there is a reason for it. There is a business reason for it. The large companies, they like to bill customers, charge customers for every test. So they sell the chemistry, and they make money. So we are changing it. We are completely disrupting that market. And the technology that we have built is a molecular camera. So if you think of a camera in your cell phone, which can image molecules, or which can take an image at a millimeter scale. So using our technology, when you go to 10 to the power minus 10, you can image, you can detect a molecule, you can image, and you can analyze. So not only that, it makes the whole diagnostics digital. That means you have data, you are doing a continuous monitoring, and now the doctors and the physicians, they can make data-driven decisions. So the other big impact here is, so we spend about $14 trillion globally on the healthcare, and about everything that we do on the healthcare is mostly reactive. It is almost like your breakdown insurance. So something happens, people go to the hospital and they get cured. So what we intend to do with this technology is, you'll be able to monitor, just like the way the Apples and the Googles of the world, how they collect your behavioral data, you'll be able to collect the biological data. So using which, you can control your lifestyle, you can control your decision-making process. And, as a result, we transform the healthcare from, reactive to preventive. So in terms of the opportunity or the pipeline, so we are working on, there's infectious diseases, there's cell engineering, there's non-communicable diseases, and the precision medicine. So out of which we've decided to work on the non-communicable diseases. These are the diseases like cardiovascular, diabetes, respiratory, cancer, and renal. The reason is this just has so much profound impact. About 60% of all the deaths worldwide is due to these 5 diseases. And also the 60% of all the healthcare dollars that we spend is either in managing or treating these diseases. So that's one of the reasons we have picked and prioritized this market. I think that is also a very important aspect. If you're building a deep tech startup, you got to focus, you have to pick your battle, and it has to be the one where you can make the maximum impact. So if you look at the, the last 45 years, if you look at the market space, there are various different technologies. If somebody walks into a hospital, they draw like 3 vials of blood. And if somebody has to go for a complete health check, you have to look at various different parameters. And the way the technology is today, it is a highly fragmented technology. They take these blood samples, each one of them have to go through various different processing steps, disparate technologies. Everything is analog, and it's low efficiency, it's reactive, and it is expensive. So one of the things that we are doing is, as I said, it's a camera. Like anybody, you can point and shoot. So you can take a drop of sample and you can look at all the molecules that is present and you get the data in real time. So as a result, it is digital, it is real time, there's no chemistry involved, and now you can make data-driven decisions. And this is very important to deliver healthcare to everyone. So this is a product that we are building. So as you can see, this is a core product. It is based on the light. So we use the light to excite the molecules. And to take a picture, normally you just take the advantage of the incident light. But when you want to look at the molecules, you need to excite them. You need to have very specific properties. You have to use the specific properties of the light. And these are femtosecond light source. These light sources run at 10 to the power minus 15th of a second. And these are usually, like large mainframes, very expensive instrumentation today. And this is not something that was affordable before we came in. So we are a vertically integrated company. We build lasers, we build optics, which are like ultra-fast optics, the electronics which go on top of it, the software, and also we leverage the AI and the machine learning to, to develop and to provide the actionable information. So this in combined, we have developed 3 kind of modules. So if you think of a, hospital environment or a hospital setup where there is an access to blood, for example, in a dialysis setup. So we look at the, we monitor the blood and provide real-time information, and our customers are making this whole process autonomous. As a result, if you think of a dialysis patient, they have to be treated almost 3 hours a day, 3 times a week. And it's a very painful process. So if it becomes autonomous, now people can get this treatment while they're sleeping at home. And you can think of, there are about 45 million patients globally, who can benefit from this. The second device that we are developing is, this is a diagnostic device which is meant for point of care testing in a clinical setup. So you take a drop of blood or any kind of body fluids. And if you think of drop of blood, it is usually 5 to 10 microliters of blood. And in the regular setup, as I said, you need like 3 vials of blood. So when you do digitally, the advantage is, so in a drop of blood, as some of you probably know, there are 6 into 10 raised to 23 molecules in it. So if you have a technology that can sequence all these molecules in real time, so you could imagine the amount of information that you can get and what you can do with it. So that is the second device that we are developing. And the third one is, it's a completely revolutionary device where you can we are developing this technology to completely eliminate the blood draw. So if you think globally, we do about 41 billion tests every year, and every test requires, the preparation for the patient. Then there is a sample draw. Then that has to be transmitted to the laboratories, and there they do the analysis, and the results have to come back. So whereas here, you can, in real time, patient walks in and he can get a test almost immediately and without even having to draw the blood. So that is a revolutionary technology that is in works. And these are some of the initial results that we have, which is most exciting. And if you look at, this is a microscopic image of the fingertip. You can see the nail and the skin bed. This is a cuticle area. We do a millimeter by millimeter by millimeter, 3-dimensional imaging, which typically takes about 5 seconds. We use a technique called OCT angiography. So at about 250 microns, you see this beautiful image where you have these capillaries coming in and they terminate and they go back. And usually these are 5 to 10 microns in diameter, and they carry the blood. And this whole location could be, this could vary on a skin type, the type of, on the location of the body, and also, the race and so on. So we completely have eliminated those, the technology works on any type of patients or any age group, any race. So using this image, then we focus our laser into this 10 micron spot and read out the molecular information for tens of thousands of different molecules. And the amount of data that we generate is just amazing. So we generate about 2 gigabytes of data in about less than a minute, and that gets processed. And then we analyze that in the cloud, and then we provide almost a real-time actionable information to people. So our goal is basically, if we are able to do this on a continuous basis, we are looking at thousands of molecules, billions of molecular interaction, and that's the biological data, and that's the new kind of data that can completely disrupt the market space. So this is just an opportunity, again, as I said, when you're doing a deep tech startup. So this is one of the important things, to define the problem and also work on a problem where you can make a profound impact. So again, the opportunity is like every year we do 41 billion tests. About 31 billion tests are done in an outpatient scenario. About 10 billion tests are done in the inpatient scenario. And if you just take all the logistics, the investment in dollars, investment in time. So if you can revolutionize, if you can do this test digitally, there's a huge amount of savings. And I think this also aligns with the kind of things that India has done in terms of a digital strategy. I think we need these kind of technologies to be accelerated, to be implemented in Indian ecosystem as well. So just to give you an idea, so typically this 31 billion tests that we just talked about. So there are only about 4 test panels. Usually there's diabetes, there is lipid, there's metabolic, and the urine. So this constitutes about 60% of all the diagnostics that is done today. And that is one of the reasons we are focusing on these 4 panels. And we plan to provide this as in vitro as well as in the in vivo format. So the second part of my discussion here, which I thought should discuss and share some of the experience building a deep tech startup and what is kind of important as part of the ecosystem, which is also something that the DST Prayas Lab as well as DERBI is bringing, which is I thought is a very unique thing and very important thing for Indian ecosystem. So just to step back and talk about the biotech innovation and also the digital biology space that is just emerging in the last few years. So this has a profound economic benefit over the next couple of years. So if you look at some of the areas where there's the digital transformation is leading is in the space of like biomolecules. So what are these biomolecules? These are basically engineered like vaccines, which can solve or address some of the largest like pandemic that we are going through. So there are companies who are in this space, and with the advancement of the deep tech as well as the AI and the new tools, today we can build a vaccine in very short time span. This is historical. This was never done before in the human history. Actually, I'm proud to say this, our technology is also being used in developing some of these, like the vaccine kind of a technology. So we look at these cells, we look at their reaction with antibodies. We provide a non-contact, non-destructive measurement so that the scientists can actually look at a cell and look at how the cell is basically interacting with antibodies, and they can design this their antibodies to be more effective. So the second part is the bio-innovation or the biomachines. So one of the revolution that is going on in this space is the neuromodulators, as an example. The patients with critical, or the chronic conditions who go through, severe pain, for instance. So there are technologies today, the neuromodulators, they basically can cancel those signals that usually go to the brain. They work just like your noise canceling headphones, and they take the pain out of the patient. So traditionally this is done through like painkillers, but now the electronics can do the same job more effectively without any side effects with low cost. So the other opportunity is basically the biosystems. These are basically engineering cells, tissues, and organs. So there are some amazing companies. Actually, one of them is started by an Indian entrepreneur. There's a company called Ginkgo Bioworks. So they are engineering, new cells, new organisms. So basically, in the future, you will see, just like the way we have the biology as a process of manufacturing technology, where you can produce the raw materials or the goods, like the milk can be synthetic, the meat can be synthetic, or your egg can be synthetic as well. So the last part is even more amazing, is the biocomputing space. And there are companies actually who are making amazing progress where you can use like DNA and also the biocomputing, and also in the quantum computing space. So it is really the fusion of semiconductor technology, the compute, and the AI as well that is revolutioning this bio-innovation. And in the next 10 years, it is expected to contribute like somewhere in the range of $20 to $40 trillion. And I think we have a great opportunity, and the kind of work that is being done in India, and also with the help of Government of India, I think there's a huge opportunity for the entrepreneurs to take advantage of this. So the other thing is, if you look at the last 40 years or so, if you look at the evolution of the technology, and if you look at every 10 years, so there is this wave. The first wave was in the personal computing. then it was web, then it was mobile computing and the cloud, where we have amazing startups in India as well. But now, just the data shows that the deep tech is there. And I remember 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, when we pitched deep tech startups to investors, they pretty much, nobody wanted to invest. So today, if you look at just in the first quarter of 2021, there's a $62 billion that has been invested in deep tech companies. And definitely that is here to stay, that is here to grow. And I think we need to make most of it. So just a little bit of about the deep tech and why this kind of an ecosystem is essential. As you're all aware of, there are three kinds of startups that you can kind of classify. The regular startups, usually, you take the proven technology, either it's a innovation in the business model or the delivery in the solution to customers. So usually these are, this is how the industry has been transformed in the last couple of years. So there are about 30% kind of a success rate. And typically these companies take this existing technology, prove it, and go to market. And as you know, most of them, or some of them, have been extremely successful. But the deep tech is a completely different story. And here you need a lot more technical expertise, and you need a very complex supply chain that you need to think through, and kind of collaboration that you need to bring in. And there's also an extended phase of R&D, which means there's more cash burn, and you have to set up your company. You need to have the mindset to stay longer term in the business and being able to go through this really difficult phase before you can be successful and you can see real traction in the market. So the next story is even more challenging and the difficult part. So there are only 1 out of 100 startups are said to be successful in the biotech space. As you can see, there are a lot of stage gates, the phases in the development. There's a discovery phase, there's a development phase, there's a testing, and even more difficult part is the regulatory phase. So you go through all this phase, you burn hundreds of millions of dollars, and you could fail in the regulatory space in the end. So that is one of the reasons this requires, the deep tech startup requires a meticulous planning. So you need to build a very strong and capable team. And also you need to bring in the right investors who can stay with you for a longer term, and also have to leverage on the ecosystem like these innovation labs. So I can tell you, even today with all this money raised, sometimes we go to the external labs most of the times because we cannot afford to use all the kind of equipments our scientists or our engineers want to use. So I think having this kind of initiative is extremely helpful. And also for deep tech, it's not just, you go through an angel phase, you go through a VC phase, and you either go an IPO or some sort of an exit. So usually the deep techs are, the academia is the kind of breeding ground. So the technologies come from, because most of the large companies, they don't do basic research. So the most of the basic research is done by universities and so on. So that is why you also need to work very closely, or most of the times these technologies come from the universities through licensing or as a spin-off. And as you can see, the governments all over the world are playing a very important role. As you can see, this vaccine is a good example. Governments across the world, they've funded billions of dollars to accelerate and to help large to small companies to bring the technology to the market space. And then there are corporate investments that also are very key, because in a deep tech, you need early stage validation, and this validation can come through the corporates who typically tend to partner with deep tech startups because it's a strategic alignment, it is a lower R&D risk, and it also, they would like to leverage on their returns. And lastly, there are venture capitals. Typically, as I said, this is a great time for deep tech startups. So 5 years ago or 10 years ago, it was really challenging. So there were very small amount of the investment was going into the deep tech, but that is changing, and that is changing dramatically as we see it now. So lastly, I think these are some of the big trends that we are trying to follow. So as you can see, the deep tech, maybe these are kind of 7 areas. There's advanced materials, there's artificial intelligence, there's biotech, and the photonics and electronics. So as you can see, the share of India mostly is in the artificial intelligence space, and also there's some in blockchain, but there's little in other spaces. But that is gradually changing, and we have some of these incredible startups that are based out of India, actually focused on deep tech. And I think this should grow, this should happen more. And I think I hope the lab that is being built here, the entrepreneurs can take leverage that and build more successful companies out of India. So just to summarize, I think the overall program, what I've heard, and this is something is vital to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, especially in the deep tech space. And the deep tech supply chains are very complex, and that is one of the things that Mark talked about, and how the companies like Mouser can help. And also the big companies, also the corporate investment and the collaborations can play a key role. And I think the entrepreneurs should, if you want to start a deep tech startup, you should always think about an ecosystem that you want to build and you want to participate in. So once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. If there are any questions, online or offline, so we can take it up. I'd be very happy to connect you with our network or anything if you need any help.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. It was really an amazing journey that you have come across and truly inspiring for the innovators. Even though healthcare is a tough sector to work in, you have proved and inspired all of us. Once again, thank you, Mr. Prakash Murthy, from joining us from Tokyo. Thank you. With this, I want to thank all the speakers who joined us today and made this event successful. All experts, service providers, startups, DST, government officials, corporates, Mouser team, jurors, evaluators, mentors who helped us from day one. Especially now the whole world is facing a crisis, and there are a lot of opportunities for health tech startups to solve pain points. Innovators should reach out the facilities and make use out of it. I would say this is just a beginning of the story. The real success can be measured only when the innovator develops the product, markets it, and creates a meaningful impact in people's life. Once again, I thank all the stakeholders who are supporting us. Thank you everyone for joining the event today. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you everyone.